Deputy Director of the CIA, Avery Bullock, is one of the craziest characters in American Dad. And that's saying something.
I just met this woman, but I'm already really into it.
So stay tuned to find out what makes Bullock so hilariously eccentric, from his womanizing ways to becoming king of the cannibals. This is the complete timeline of Avery Bullock.
Yeah, get it! Get it!
Avery's early years. Avery Bullock doesn't have the most fleshed out backstory in American Dad, but there have been some clues hinting at his past. For one, while chatting to Stan's gay neighbour Greg, he confessed to a bit of sexual experimentation in his youth.
Nothing too big, just some boyish night poundings.
And with that, we get a lovely flashback to his boarding school days.
You're as tight as the fabric on a reupholstered Davenport.
Not for long, I wasn't.
We also learn that Avery got his master's degree in liberal arts and theatre from Wesleyan College, but in terms of his parents, we don't know a great deal about it, other than his big fear of his mother, despite being in his late 50s.
I'm gonna call your mama and tell her what you said.
Don't.
Avery's CIA career. In the very first season, it was revealed that Avery had worked in the CIA for 25 years, but what isn't clear is why the CIA saw fit to hire an unhinged British bloke with a liberal arts degree when we know that the CIA only hires US citizens. So we can only presume that somewhere along his crazy timeline, Avery became a naturalized American citizen. And his strange success in the CIA doesn't end from where he comes from, but also the way he conducts himself. Rather than being the strict, serious type you'd imagine from a guy in his position, he treats his underlings as if he was a kindergarten teacher, even condemning Stan to the quiet area without milk time on the odd occasion, as well as holding a department-wide show and tell day. Not only is he pretty odd in his behaviour, but also an all-round pretty irresponsible boss. When advised to spend the CIA's $50,000 surplus money from their budget, he makes it rain at the local strip club. And just imagine all those American taxpayer dollars being spent on lap dances and pee-pee punching.
Yeah! I so deserve this. Do it!
He's also put his team in jeopardy when he started moonlighting as a DJ and got too whacked out on trucker speed to stay awake to plan missions properly. And speed's not the only drug that Bullock dabbled in while at the CIA. He even ordered Stan to infiltrate a weed factory not to fight the war on drugs, but to get his filthy mitts on an edible so powerful it can produce an everlasting high.
This thing gets you messed up from the dress up, from sunup to sunset.
And if you need any more evidence that Bullock may be a pretty shoddy CIA employee, then look no further than the fact that he's yet to realise that Stan's funny-looking housemate Roger, you know, that stumpy-looking guy with suspiciously grey skin and a big old head, is actually a freaking alien. And what's more bizarre is that when Roger started posing as a photographer named Parker Peters and sold pictures of himself to the local media for extra cash, Avery actually hired him to be the head of the CIA's alien task force, making it Roger's job to hunt down the alien that was spotted in Langley Falls, aka Roger himself. All that being said, Bullock does have some qualities that makes him worthy of being a CIA deputy director. He's physically strong and highly skilled in hand-to-hand combat, holding his own against Reginald Koala, as well as the much more muscly Stan Smith. He even took down an armed guerrilla soldier using only a tube of lube.
Kill them! Lube to the face!
He's definitely dedicated to his job, but just in his own mad way, such as the time when he was willing to become a cyborg just to become more CIA efficient.
Did anyone order an awesome rescue?
Avery's family life. Now, you'd be forgiven for forgetting that Avery has a wife and a kid. So allow me to refresh your memory. He was married to a lady called Miriam, but their relationship was rarely seen on the show, mainly because she was kidnapped by insurgents in Iraq.
But why not go get her, sir? I will not negotiate with terrorists.
So perhaps to heal the void she left behind, he adopted a baby from India who he named Avery Jr., quickly realizing that the baby severely cramped his style with the ladies. But the baby did have other uses, like bringing Miriam back home. This is all because Francine was getting sick of having to babysit Junior, and so Stan went to Iraq himself to rescue Miriam for good. And although Miriam returned as a brainwashed anti-American terrorist, she began to appreciate her life with Bullock and Avery Jr., which eventually deprogrammed her. But the happy reunion was short-lived when she found out that he had an affair with a woman called Coco, so she did the only thing she could think of, and shoot him in the kneecap in revenge. But alas, poor Miriam was later killed when Roger, in Ricky Spanish mode, ran through her with a sword at her very own birthday party, which Bullock barely remembers and doesn't seem too fazed by.
Killing my wife? When?
You seriously don't remember?
Hey, man.
Avery Jr. also seems to be a victim of Bullock's forgetfulness.
I don't have a family.
What about that Indian baby you have sometimes?
This isn't one of those times.
But you know what, we can't really blame the guy. With his sexual proclivities, drug abuse and all-round weirdness, he was never a one-woman kind of guy, or certainly one that was well-adjusted enough to be a father. Which brings us to Avery's love life. To put it shortly, Avery is a hot-blooded womanizer and he's damn well proud of it.
Some of us spent the late 80s and early 90s getting laid, Smith.
And it's not just about the number of women, but also the crazy kinks he can indulge in.
Strangle me while I brush your hair.
And as a result, he's bound to have some failed flings, including Melinda, who actually wound up dead when CIA-brained Bullock mistook her for a terrorist and snapped her neck on reflex.
I thought she was a terrorist. Curse my CIA-honed reflexes.
But it has to be said that his taste often skews much younger. He almost hooked up with a 17-year-old girl.
Were it not for the girl's father bursting in at the last moment, I'd be a sex offender right now.
And really crossed the line when he had a fling with Stan's teenage daughter, Hayley. Bullock's sordid affair with Hayley began when they crossed paths at the CIA's annual family carnival. It was an age-old tale of opposites attract, as the pair clashed over politics. And this hot debate quickly led them into an even hotter bed.
You slept with my daughter?
Well, to be perfectly honest, neither of us did very much sleeping.
But the fling was short-lived because Hayley got back with her on and off boyfriend Jeff, causing a clearly smitten Bullock to go a bit cray-cray, or at least a bit crazier than usual. So much so they actually ordered Stan to kill Jeff. But in the end, Jeff lived to tell the tale and Bullock eventually got over Hayley, although he has talked pretty cruelly about her since.
I tapped her like a pony keg, banged her around so much I lost my deposit.
So with Hayley under his belt, you may have thought that he was done defiling the Smith family, but...
And remember your 4th of July barbecue? I muff-punched your Gram. She was just too senile to know it.
So that's Stan's daughter and Stan's grandmother, and it may just seem that Avery had sights on Stan himself after he took an experimental CIA drug that temporarily turned him into a woman. So it's safe to say that Bullock is quite the strange Lothario, and we haven't even touched on his swinger days. But alas, we haven't got all day. So that's most of his major antics in the present covered, but what about Bullock's future? Bullock's fate. Now, regular viewers of this channel will know that I like to look at American Dad's frequent flash forwards and alternate timeline episodes to see what might happen to characters in the future, and Avery, he's met a fair few different fates. He presumably got vaporized with the rest of the human race when Stan accidentally caused a nuclear holocaust. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but isn't that Avery standing in front of the church congregation that got raptured off to heaven when the end of time began? If so, I find it baffling that he even got to heaven at all, considering his hugely unwholesome lifestyle. However, he did get a more befitting future in another American Dad alternate timeline that saw Langley Falls turn into a nuclear wasteland, or because Roger had a fateful run-in with the Hadron Collider. So, as lawlessness took over Langley Falls, Bullock became the king of a clan of cannibals and almost gobbled up the Smith family, which as we know wasn't the first time he'd gobbled on one of the Smiths. Yeah, I know, I'm disgusting. But luckily for them, a giant mutated Klaus, ridden by Bullock's former love rival Jeff, came in to save the day, scorching Bullock and his cannibal cohorts straight to the fiery depths of hell. But of course, fire-breathing fish aside, the show's crazy alternate timelines aren't canon. At least, I don't think they are. And in the American Dad present, Avery is still chugging along pretty nicely and as madly as ever. So with that brings us to the end of Avery Bullock's life story so far, but the deranged deputy director of the CIA is bound to bring us plenty more bizarre antics in the future. So remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching, and I'll definitely see you on the next one.